All righty, now let's bring in former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee. Governor, sorry, let's be respectful. Governor, the hypocrisy of the left, Mike, when January 6th happened, they threw these people in jail. They're still waiting trial, some of them. They treat them like terrorists, but in Tennessee, something far worse happens, and all of a sudden they're exalted. Over the weekend on the talk shows, they were floating the idea of these Tennessee 3 to run for some sort of higher office, maybe even president. What are your thoughts on the hypocrisy of it all?
It's stunning, and it would be funny if it weren't so serious and the complications of it so serious. One of the things that I found just amazing were the people on the far left saying that that expelling these members was a threat to democracy. Now, whether they should be expelled, that's a whole different discussion, but that's really for the legislature in Tennessee to decide. But the idea that it was undemocratic, actually, it was quite democratic. They took a vote and they expelled them. And the reason they expelled them was because these guys were disrupting the democratic process. There was activity going on the House floor. They took bullhorns, they disrupted it. They created, let's use the word, Eric, an insurrection, because they were stopping the flow of government. And in doing so, they were creating a barrier to democracy. So the democratic process threw them out. I wish I could just hear some of the left say, yep, you don't have the numbers, you don't have the votes, and that's what happens. Elections have consequences, to quote Barack Obama.
Yeah, indeed they do. Indeed they do. Mike, one of the other things we noticed over the weekend, China basically creating a video doing war games in the areas surrounding Taiwan. They actually created a video that showed China attacking Taiwan from the sea, from the land, from all directions. And this is just days after meeting with U.S. officials over here in California. You know, it strikes me that, Iran, North Korea, Russia, now China, they're all really kind of playing games, and they're testing Biden's fortitude. And I think they're smelling blood in the water.
Well, they've watched what the Biden administration has done in Afghanistan. They've watched that we really have had a very mixed policy on Ukraine. They look at this and they say, this is a very weak administration. They're more interested in making sure that our military is diverse, that it's woke, that we have the right number of people who are transgender and LGBTQIA MOUSE, then we have people who are ready to fight and fight with lethal force. So they look at that and they say, we've never had a better time to maybe test the resolve of the U.S. government. Eric, I was just in Taiwan just a little over 2 weeks ago. I think it's fair to say that the people of Taiwan are a little nervous about Joe Biden being the one in charge of our policy, because they just don't know how he would react, especially in light of the fact that he may be incredibly compromised with his own dealings and that of his family with the Chinese government.
Yeah, that's very important. He's hat-tipped China left and right. You know, Trump came in, gave China a bit of a hard time with some trade barriers. Biden lifted those right away. He refuses to consent. He doesn't treat China like an adversary yet. I don't know. They literally told Biden, stand down with Taiwan or else. I remember a couple of months ago, one of the foreign ministers literally telling Biden, warning Biden. Can you imagine?
Well, we just don't have a history of having any country, I don't care who they are, telling an American president what to do. But they're not the first. Remember, the Saudis wouldn't even take a phone call from Joe Biden. That's unprecedented, that a U.S. president dials up a world leader and they say, no, we're not interested in talking. We have nothing to say to you. We don't trust you. We don't want to visit with you. So, no, we're not taking the call. I mean, I don't care whether it's Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan, George Bush, Bill Clinton. I've never in my life seen a president who basically was told, buzz off. And this one has been.
Governor, before we let you go, I don't know where you stand in this, and I'll be educated right now. Are you a Trump guy? Are you a DeSantis guy? Are you someone else? What do you think is the best for the GOP?
I'm unapologetically a Trump guy. And the reason is because I've never had a president in my life, and that goes back to Eisenhower, who did exactly what he said he would do in the campaign and actually exceeded the expectations that I had. And whether it's energy policy, economic policy, foreign policy, really saving NATO, and being the first president since Ronald Reagan not to get us in a war, putting money in the pockets of working class people and bringing manufacturing back, being the champion of religious liberty like no other, being a strong supporter of Israel, issues that really matter to me. Look, I understand that some of his tweets offend people, but get over it. This is a man who has been able to get things done. And Eric, he's done it against the harshest headwinds that any politician in any public office has ever faced. So, yeah, it's not a big mystery. I'm making it very clear. I'll be supporting Donald Trump.
One of the things that never happened under Trump, a lot of these countries that are testing Biden right now, the saber-rattling Biden right now, Russia, Iran, China, but China doing oil deals with yuan rather than U.S. dollar is a major, major thing for the United States. It's a massive risk. And I don't think Biden has the wherewithal to understand what type of risks this is, including the weakness of the dollar, our economy, and more importantly, it's going to make inflation skyrocket in the United States.
100%, Eric. And you just mentioned the energy policy. Under Trump, we were energy independent for the first time in 75 years. I hope people can remember what they were paying for gasoline when Trump was in office, and part of that was because we were producing our own. We have several hundred years worth of energy under our own feet. Now, if we want to eventually transition to electric cars or electric airplanes or whatever we want to do, the market will move us there as soon as it becomes profitable, affordable, when it becomes accessible and renewable. We'll probably get there. I don't know if it'll be in 10 years or 112 years. I don't know. But Donald Trump had us on a path so that we didn't have to go with an oil can in our hands and beg the Saudis to pump a little more so that we could have energy. We were exporting energy instead of importing it. And my gosh, I wish we were still doing that again. And that's another reason that I'd love to see Trump back in the White House.
Yep. I'm sure the leaders of those countries may not agree with Mike Huckabee. We appreciate time. Best to the new governor of Arkansas. Give her our absolute best and love to see her on the show sometime soon. Mike, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure, Eric. Good to see you again.
You too.